this?
So the Emmys have just ended, and David, what did you think?
You know, it was, it started off predictably, which is great for our odds, not great for the enthusiasm of watching the Emmys, but, you know, it started to take off after the midpoint. So overall, I thought it was a decent group of winners. I don't know.
Tom O'Neill, the founder of Gold Derby, will be joining us shortly. And yeah, I think we should just say, you know, well done, Tom, for mission accomplished, for getting all those predictions right, like for Gold Derby as a whole, with the notable exception of Best Drama Series, of course.
Yeah.
And supporting actress.
The most important one.
Yeah.
So Amanda, give us your quick take.
I love women power. It was amazing. I went with Stranger Things. Rob wants me to remind everyone that he told us that Handmaid's Tale was going to win, and we all ignored him. But and Dowd, oh my God, was that not like the best win of the night? And then just seeing Samira Wiley mouth to her, "You won." Like, that's a class act right there, because I'm sure she would have loved that, have that Emmy herself.
And Tony, you've already written the post-show review, I take it?
I'm sorry, are my fingers still moving? I'm not sure.
I raise my glass to you for typing faster than I can.
Oh, yes, it's always our glasses. Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah,
You don't have
I don't
wine?
have a cocktail. I should, but it's been a little bit of a fast and furious evening.
Okay, tell us more, Tony.
I thought, first of all, I've never been so happy to be wrong about some of my predictions as I was, particularly with the wins for The Handmaid's Tale. And, you know, this really is a historic win on so many levels, not the least of which is the fact that Hulu has become the first streaming series to do this.
Am I the only one who hears the glass smashing and the screaming of Netflix right now? Like, sorry.
Crazy.
Yeah, and just some really, really strong wins. You know, I was thrilled for Ann Dowd. I was thrilled for Elizabeth Moss to finally double her lifetime Emmy take in just one night.
Double?
The show as a whole, well, she had 0, now she has 2.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I couldn't put the math together.
I mean, I guess you can't really double 0, but, you know, I'm tired. Give me a break.
Okay.
So, but one of the things that I thought about the show, and this is my personal take on it, I thought the show, you know, I thought Colbert really wasn't as much of a presence as he could have been. He certainly wasn't as much of a presence as Jimmy Kimmel was last year. And I think the show suffered a bit for it. Thank God that some of the winners really gave us some really just strong moments, which we'll talk about later. But I thought the show was mediocre overall, but I am thrilled with some of the winners.
And the presenters too, Tony. I thought a lot of the presenters and the pairings were really smart, and those were some of the best moments of the night. I mean, Carol Burnett and Norman Lear, the 9 to 5 reunion, some really great, iconic people on that stage, which they don't seem to do lately. Like, why can't they do more of that? It's so
I wish they would have done
wonderful.
it for Best Drama Series. Like, what, they couldn't find like 2 people from a CBS drama that won an Emmy to like.
You had David E. Kelley there, who'd won, you know, a gazillion Best Drama Series Emmys over the years. Pair him with somebody. And I thought, and I know Amanda, I'm probably stealing Amanda's thunder when I say, why didn't they pair up Melissa McCarthy and Alexis Bledel?
Yeah, I decided not to publish my 12-page rant on the blog because I figured Tom would kill me. This is me.
Tom, are you ready?
Yeah, on Twitter.
So you all,
yeah, Tom, tell us how you feel about Gold Derby.
So Riley, my question is to you this.
Yeah.
You just did such great analysis recently of spotting the trends from the creative arts on the casting awards, and was it sound editing or something? And your in-depth analysis suggested 2 things. One is that there is a correlation between certain awards at the Creative Arts and the Primetime Emmys, when often it doesn't appear to be. And second of all, that Stranger Things, which you had been trumpeting early on, was getting all those key awards, so therefore it was way ahead, or at least solidly ahead. Explain what happened tonight.
Yes, two things. First of all, the casting award, it seems that for once they actually gave it to the show they thought was the best cast instead of just voting for their favorite. Like Veep at this point, you know, it's won the last 3 years. It's pretty much the same cast that they've had all along. There's not really anything going along there. So it's nice that they're actually thinking about what is the best cast instead of just what's my favorite show. And then as for the Handmaid's Tale winning, like, you
sweeping, not just winning, sweeping.
Oh my God.
Like I always went with Stranger Things just because it had more statistics behind it. But I did always say, you know, kind of to save myself a bit in all the slugfest and all the forum posts, like The Handmaid's Tale did come out very late. So if it came out, you know, earlier, would we have seen it nominated in more categories like editing and sound mixing? Mm-hmm. And what I suspect is that now when the end of year awards roll around, the guilds, then everybody will have seen it by then, and we won't see this discrepancy.
By the way, you know, all of these players pay such careful attention to what Gold Derby says, literally, that whenever I ran into the Hulu executives throughout this Emmy season, they were all saying, Tom, we did what Gold Derby told us. We got our DVDs out early. We got our DVDs. So even though the show came out later than the others, because we're always carrying on about how important the DVDs need to get out soon in the season, they did do that, and they sent out the full, as many episodes as they could, if not the full season. I can't remember. But I don't think we saw, even the people who were optimistic, like Rob Lucuria, about Handmaid's doing well, I don't think even anticipated the sweep tonight. And I have a theory as to what happened. It's certainly a worthy win, and every savvy person applauds it, of course, so I don't mean to detract from it that way, but there was a clear theme across all night. Every single chance the Hollywood had to bash Trump, they did so. Even, you know, Saturday Night Live finally taking that top award after these decades. Every little thing that could go toward the whole Trump scenario did. And part of, you know, Handmaid's Tale does kind of speak to this whole political message that is in the air and making us all think now in terms of what's in the White House. And we, you know, don't you think that was the big? Does anybody pile in here? Don't you think that was some kind of factor here?
Hey, Tom, let me ask you this. I just have a question for you, since you've been doing this for so long. Do you think Netflix is going to have to rethink how they dump all the episodes in, since they just got their theory disproved? I mean, they. Let's face it. They were the first ones nominated. They've lost drama series now. They're not going to be the first streaming service to win a series award.
Well, they finally won Best TV Movie, though. That was a big deal for them. I mean, that's a big series award. Let's not, you know. Yes, I know they should have done better. My calculation, based on some insight,
with half the nominations, they lost.
Amanda, are you saying that they shouldn't drop all their episodes at once?
Yeah, because I think, you know what? I think that The Handmaid's Tale had 10 weeks of buzz. I think that's what helped it, is that, remember that episode when they found out Luke wasn't dead? We had a week of, how's Luke alive? And then you had another week of, that we saw how Luke's alive. I just, you know, I think it was more of a traditional drop. I'm just wondering if it maybe wasn't just the Trump thing, but the fact that they didn't drop 10 episodes and I could binge watch it in 2 or 3 days. That helped them. They gave us 3 episodes that got us hooked.
Yeah, but there was a cachet and a cool factor about Handmaid's all along. Yes to everything you said, and I agree with it. I'm sure you're right. But I also think that there was such, like with Atlanta and with like Black Mirror, there simply was a cool cachet about these shows and Big Little Lies that the other shows didn't have, and that was a consistent factor here. As was Trump, of course. Even when Donald Glover held up his Emmy, he said Trump had a little something to do with this. And of course, it rang true when he said it. It was a very interesting Emmy show. I agree with Tony that it was, you know, it wasn't spectacular in terms of an entertainment, but boy, it was it was, I think, at least solidly produced, moved along beautifully. The in memoriam sequence, I think, was terrific, and I think the winners were really commendable. You know, I've been very skeptical about this voting system because it's no longer forcing us voters, and I'm an Emmy voter, to watch the episodes, because now you have to see them online if you're not watching them on any other way. But boy, oh boy, it's the winners are not the popular favorites, other than in the case of like maybe Nicole Kidman. And overall, I think they were so solid.
I mean, think about the fact that Stranger Things went into this with more creative arts wins than The Handmaid's Tale, and literally got shut out tonight. Didn't walk away with anything.
Wow, you're right.
Neither did Westworld.
Yeah, and neither did Westworld, which was the most nominated drama series.
Did Feud win anything? My dear Feud?
No.
No.
And that look on Susan Sarandon's face when Nicole Kidman won was just like...
I wanted to go up and rip it out of her hands and say, Jessica, baby, this is for you. No, I was outraged by that. I think Feud got screwed. I think Screwed was a mess. I mean, Screwed was a mess.
Hashtag.
I just think it's a classic case like Mommy Dearest, a movie that has too much camp, doesn't get taken seriously. But I digress.
But yet they reached all the way back to last year to give Riz Ahmed lead actor, which was a great win. I thought his speech was fantastic. I thought he gave a great speech.
Yeah. Now, Tom, Gold Derby did score 85%, you know, which is excellent. But one category that we missed is The Voice. And that's one that kind of defies this whole Trump theory, because not only is RuPaul, I guess, the kind of winner that Trump would not like to see, but he also has ties to Mark Burnett more directly. So what's your take on that?
Who wasn't there tonight, by the way.
Yes, I noticed that. And that was a very somber speech for a show about people singing.
Yeah, I don't blame him for not showing up after last year.
You know, I was surprised. It must be a very close contest between the two in terms of number of votes, because we're seeing this resurgence by The Voice. So in this new popular voting system, it has this very strong base. I don't know. What's your theory?
Yeah, I switched to The Voice this morning, and then I chickened out just because of the Trump factor.
All of my last-minute switches, I got screwed. Stupid.
But I was saying to David and Zach before the chat is that, like, I kind of just took RuPaul for granted as soon as the nominations came out, because everybody had him. It seemed like, you know, he had reached critical mass. But I never actually looked at how The Voice actually had 10 nominations this year, which is 4 more than they had last year when they won. So they got into all these new categories. And then at the Creative Arts, when RuPaul won its 3 awards, none of them were actually against The Voice. So
That's what
we didn't actually learn definitively last week or in the nominations which one was ahead. And The Voice didn't take any other awards this year, but that's also par for the course for The Voice. When they've won, they've only ever won lighting design, or the top award has been their only award of the night.
Did any of the other guys predict The Voice?
No, and I didn't predict The Voice because I figured strike one, Mark Burnett, plus RuPaul giving, you know, being the anti-Trump vote, gives RuPaul's Drag Race the award. But I guess they don't hold Mark Burnett responsible.
Handmaid's Tale?
No.
Wow.
I swear.
Just admit it. We're idiots. No, I mean, it's...
I got Black Mirror in writing, which is one of the 4 upsets that there was. So I'll clink to that.
I had it.
Yeah, there were so few upsets. There were so few.
But they were such good ones. I mean, wasn't Anda? I was so thrilled.
That was crushing for me.
And seeing Samira Wiley just mouth "You won" to her, it made me like tear up. I was like, oh my God, I thought she wasn't gonna win when she didn't win Guest Actress. But to win all the women awards. Whew.
Did anybody else notice that when Veep won Comedy Series, it seemed like the applause stopped like 20 minutes before they all got up onto the stage?
Yeah, because there's that second round.
Oh,
yeah.
And they're like, yeah, I guess we should applaud some more. You know.
So what did they bleep?
From Elizabeth Moss?
Yeah.
It's hard to know. The camera was behind her, so we couldn't see what she said. I'll be interested to see what she said.
Yeah.
You know, when
how
I
awesome!
Joseph,
How awesome for Margaret Atwood to get that standing ovation. That was a beautiful thing. And that's I think one of the themes of tonight is that really some of the winners brought some really just beautiful emotion to the. I mean, does anybody have a favorite acceptance speech?
My favorite speech was by Sean Spicer. That was unbelievable.
You know, I don't like him, but good for him for being a good sport. I mean, he really does deserve credit for being a good sport and going out there and poking fun of himself.
Wait, but he had to say those things in the first place, and that's why he's.
I know, but I'm just saying, you know what? That's the best way to handle something like that is to go out there and show, maybe I don't take myself as seriously as everybody thinks I do.
Alec Baldwin had the soundbite of the night when we went there and said,
yeah.
Oh, I mean, Mike, perfect. That's the soundbite to be watched forever.
I did love the grace of Aziz Ansari. He's never really given an Emmy speech for his 2 wins. He realized this is not my moment.
He was trying. I saw him trying to get in there, trying to get.
Yeah, like he just wanted to say thank you. I did love Laura Dern thanking her parents. I wish that Alexander Skarsgård would have thanked his dad.
Oh, I wish
on the same thing.
I wish he would have handed that award to who deserved it, Alfred Molina.
You know what? If Stanley, you know what? Alfred Molina has no one to blame for losing that other than Stanley Tucci.
Oh, you think? I don't think that.
Yes, I do. I think that the vote splitting
Big
thing.
Little Lies and Handmaid's Tale, cool thing sweeping, and Molina didn't have a chance, but he normally would have, because what is good about the new Emmys and the new voting system is that these very credible, cool things are being recognized. It's almost as if these awards are being chosen by TV critics in a way. And that's why we haven't run the complete scores yet at Gold Derby, but I'll bet you our TV critics who are predicting things did extremely well, because they're the ones who would go for Donald Glover and all of that. And they were right. And I dumped Glover this morning for Jeffrey Tambor, like among the many stupid last-minute changes I made.
I had Jeffrey Tambor for a while. You're not alone.
Too.
I thought that whole transgender ban was going to work in Tambor's favor. I said, there is your winner. He's handed Tambor his 3rd Emmy. I never doubted it.
And he had, Transparent had a lot more support from the acting branch than Atlanta did, at least in terms of the nominations. Even though it dropped out of comedy series, it looked like it had support. So I thought he would easily repeat again.
And I just love the look on Joseph Fiennes' face, which was like, if I could have just got freaking nominated, I would have won that GD. I'm sorry. That look is like...
He never would have beat John Lithgow.
I know, but he had that look of it could have been on his face.
Can you please educate Hollywood to stop? Reese Witherspoon, please pronounce the man's name correctly. It is Lithgow. It's little things like that.
Terrible of her grandstanding. There was David E. Kelly right behind her. You're just like,
right?
Hollywood, Mr. Emmy, you just want him to come to that podium and have this welcome, this Emmy god, and she just prattled away and wouldn't get out of the way. Well, then, of course, Paul had to jump in, too.
Yeah. I loved in Donald Glover's acceptance speech for directing how he talked about how it should have gone to Hiro Murai because he directed 7 episodes of Atlanta, whereas Donald Glover only did 2. I thought that was really nice.
I really hated the announcer because I think that he was just so obnoxious that I'm like, okay, if you just spoke a little bit more normal, we would know that Donald Glover made history tonight as the first African-American director to win Best Comedy Directing. I mean, this is a huge moment, and it's just completely glazed over by your... I can't.
Jermaine Fowler, take a note. The reason it's called a microphone is that so you don't have to yell into it. Literally everything he said was, how many? You could almost have a drinking game of how many times he went, I was like, stop it.
I really wish they would have flipped the order as far as actor and actress in a comedy. Because I think that, if you're a producer, you kind of have to know at this point Julia looks like the heavy favorite. And Best Comedy Actor, it might go 1 or 3 ways, maybe. Why not end with that one? just in case. That was my, I mean, I'm just nitpicking at this point, but I did think that like the best joke of the night was Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert going, yeah, he's so great. He only has to do one show a week. Like, like good for you two.
The order of the awards, Amanda, and everybody, it's just basically decided by the guilds. The guilds sit down with the academy behind the scenes, and they twist everybody's arms, and it's a real complicated diplomatic game.
I was so excited for The Handmaid's Tale.
Who did?
But I was very.
Did any of you guys do better than 50%? You think, or no? I'm sure I did not.
I'm sure I did.
Really?
The front runners pretty much all won. Like I tried to do a few upsets, and then most of them, didn't pan out. But
I think we're all going to be in various realms of 50%. I think that's where we're all going to end up. And
I would have been if I hadn't gone back and changed things today. I would have been.
What did you change, Tom?
Oh, I changed.
Oh, I actually have what they said, what Elizabeth Moss said.
Great.
Oh yeah, Rob just emailed it.
Yeah, you can be kind and still be a fucking badass. They don't bleep in Australia.
Oh, okay. Big deal.
Yeah, that's disappointing.
She needs to stop cursing in acceptance speeches because that might cost her a Golden Globe because she did that when she won for Top of the Lake. I'm just saying. I'm just saying if they gotta have a 7-second delay, they might not want you up there.
Okay. Well, I'm going to sign off. I'll let you guys carry on. This is fun and fascinating. We still haven't cracked this, but I'll tell you, I think it was a really great night for TV and quality TV and the streaming services. I mean, this was a revolution. No streaming service had ever won Best Series before, and now we've got a win for Best Drama Series by Hulu of all things, and Netflix finally breaking at least one top category, and it's fascinating to see. It's very, very, and all this African American love and stuff was really sweet. Okay, everybody. Thanks, everybody. Thanks.
Bye,
Tom.
Bye, Tom.
Okay, now what about next year? Do you think The Handmaid's Tale will take down Game of Thrones? Because that's how we roll. Like I think after tomorrow, we're not even allowed to put up Emmy articles.
I think that it's going to depend on what A Handmaid's Tale does, because the good news for all of these shows competing next year is Game of Thrones has already shown us their cards. We know what they've done, what they've got. So it's going to be interesting, but I still think Game of Thrones will probably take directing. It's probably going to take back visual effects. I don't believe Westworld's airing next year. Is it? I thought they were kind of...
It is. It's coming in the spring.
Oh, that'll be interesting. But I think it's probably still going to tip towards Game of Thrones, and I think Veep and Julia just... Yeah.
I think Julia's going to continue. I really think Veep could be vulnerable. How many did it win last week?
It won
3.
5 Emmys this week, overall.
Which was more
5
than
overall,
last year.
so 5 out of
17.
Yeah.
More.
Yeah,
But,
so it's gonna be
but you know what's really strange?
really interesting to see.
Yeah, and Tony, I kind of agree. I'm really unsure about it because it keeps winning comedy series, but losing writing and directing. And I can't decide if that's because of vote splitting or if they really just don't like, do they like the writing and directing of other shows, but they keep naming Veep Best Comedy? It doesn't add up to me. So something is not...
I think it has to be vote splitting because the one year they only had one for election night. They won.
Right.
I think what we learned tonight is they don't really care for Silicon Valley. I mean, they finally had an opportunity to award it writing. It had no excuse to lose that award. And
I think they'd sooner go for Veep, that block.
Well, I mean, as far as vote splitting is concerned, it had no reason, it had no chance of splitting its support, and it still couldn't do it.
We need to see Silicon Valley submit a whole bunch of episodes because, why not? And then Veep should just submit one. And then we'll find out if they can win or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, they should really change their strategy next year if they want to take writing and or directing. Just submit the one that Mandel writes.
And I think
And directs.
I think the good news for Anna Klumsky is that she might have a chance next year. Maybe, because I don't know if Kate McKinnon can hold on to this 3 years. I mean,
actually, it is the final season, so I'm not sure if there will be vote splitting. So maybe they can submit a whole bunch because the finale will obviously stand out. But Daniel, please breathe some life into this conversation. How did you feel about the Emmys tonight?
Well enough that I got dressed up from the waist up.
Yeah,
like the rest of us.
Wow, visual.
Wearing my PJ bottom.
I was just listening to everyone talking about like, oh, what your percentage is like. Everyone's around 50%, and I'm thinking, I was feeling so dumb after Creative Arts, thinking I'm switching so many of my predictions after Creative Arts to the front runners, and that's going to be the worst decision in the world. Like I went from Judith Light to Kate McKinnon, and I went from Jeffrey Rush to Riz Ahmed, and I'm like, I'm going to get so screwed. And I did pretty well.
Yeah.
Stranger Things kicked my butt. I had it for writing, directing, and series.
Yeah, me too.
Wow.
You had a sweep.
Yeah, which is actually, I mean, even after Handmaid's Tale won writing and directing, I still wasn't even questioning series just because of that casting award. I think Ann Dowd was the canary in the coal mine there that I should have been like, okay, maybe this is happening.
When it won directing, that was it for me. I was like, you know what? It's over.
Yeah.
There's no way. There was absolutely so many other ones that fit trends of recent years that should have won.
Yeah,
like, nope.
So you were right, Daniel. You were right that there was a sweep.
And series for the third year in a row went to the same program. I just picked the wrong one. So maybe this year I should just hedge my bets, and so just like spread those out between 2 different shows, and I won't get 3 wrong. Maybe I'll get 1 or 2.
But this is a sweep that Game of Thrones has never seen. I mean, Game of Thrones has never won 3 acting awards.
No, it's never won 3 acting awards in its history.
I know, but I'm just saying, like 3 acting awards, writing, directing, drama. I mean, wow. I mean, that's a big night for any show, any miniseries. I mean,
especially in a year when there's so many new shows in competition. You could have had any of those awards go to any number of new shows, but for one new show to take them all was really surprising.
Yeah,
that's Creative Arts. We saw, every single Best Drama Series nominee take at least an award.
Yeah.
It was nice that This Is Us finally got one. I mean, they were the one. Well, they got one but it was nice to see like at least one network win, because God knows CBS didn't have anything.
That was the first for a while too, wasn't it? When was the last network drama to win lead actor? Because it was
it Jimmy Smith?
No, it was Kiefer. I think it was Kiefer.
Oh yeah, Kiefer. Yeah. I didn't like that he talked about himself in third person. Like seriously, I'm like, you know what, dude? You've only won twice. When you've won 4, then you can speak about yourself in third person.
I honestly think that was one of my favorite speeches of the night. I thought
that was absolutely one of my favorite. And shame on the Emmy producers. Shame on them.
Not only to play him off, but then to cut his mic. Like, that is just ugly.
What about the zoom out? It just wouldn't stop.
Yeah.
I was like, how big is this auditorium?
They were just hit, and they would go to commercial, but he just kept standing up there, and so they're like, "Do we go to commercial?" He's still talking.
I love the look.
They kept zooming out. I expected them to end up in Van Nuys eventually.
I love the look on Kevin Spacey's face, which is like, well, I didn't lose to Anthony Hopkins, but I'm never going to win an Emmy. It's not going to happen.
Well, apparently the Tonys is back in the winner's circle, so there's some hope. Yeah.
No, his train wreck of a hosting gig is not going to win him an Emmy.
No, I actually. A little off topic, but I actually thought his Tony's hosting was pretty good. Like, it was better than my expectations were low, because I don't think him as song and dance funny man, and he actually kind of sold it for me at the Tonys. So I think he does have a shot next year.
I thought it was like a train wreck mixed with like a chemical that you got to shut down a portion of the highway and evacuate people around. But that's just
and poor kitty litter on top of it.
Yeah, it's like, please do not come to this area unless you actually have a reason to. Like, can we please have
Daniel,
come back next year?
Daniel, what was your favorite win of the night?
Oh, honestly, it came after the big Veep wins, so I was just like, okay, whatever. But since so many of the front runners were winning, I had so much higher hopes for Riz Ahmed all of a sudden. really worried about that one. And so I thought, I was a little worried, but I'm like, just let Riz Ahmed win, and then you can give anything you want to anyone you want. I don't care. And so after Riz Ahmed won and gave a really terrific speech, I was just like, I'm good for the year. I don't need anything else.
The year's over. This is it.
And 5 total wins for the night of is really, really good result for a limited series that aired a year ago. Yeah. Like, I was worried that this was going to, before the nominations, I was worried that this was going to be another Show Me a Hero that would just be like, oh, what was that? And totally, completely ignored. And so 5 wins, including Best Actor for Riz Ahmed, who's one of my favorite, new discoveries of this past entertainment year. This past entertainment season. So yeah, that was it for me. I was good.
And just to linger on that for a minute, what a lineup of actors that he took down. Like Robert De Niro.
Robert De Niro, 2 Oscars right there. Jeffrey Rush, who has, the acting Triple Crown, Oscar, Emmy, Tony.
He needs to work on his album, not his getting another Emmy.
And he could work with Riz Ahmed, who won a VMA a few weeks ago.
There you go.
On Immigrants, We Get the Job Done, which was part of that 6-way tie for a fight against the system. So he wanted
to buy that album or what song. Like, please, please, please. I will buy that today.
Just have Riz Ahmed do like rap, and then Jeffrey Rush do some kind of spoken word chorus kind of thing. Oh my goodness, that would give that an Emmy in a heartbeat. Or Grammy in a heartbeat.
Oh, I love that.
How did David E. Kelly lose writing?
Because they're Anglophiles in that limited series writing category.
Yeah,
if I had known he was British, I would have put him in second place myself. Like, seriously, I'm gonna have to start looking up in the limited series race. Who's British? What country you're from? I'm not xenophobia, but come on, like, seriously, there's been way too many of those happen.
Yeah, I sent this to Amanda for the live blog. I was thinking, oh, Abby Morgan, The Hour, Stephen Colbert, Sherlock that year when he was a big surprise. Larry freaking Kramer.
Don't get me started.
They love British writers. They just and it's perfectly fine that they love. I thought The Hour win for writing was one of my favorite Emmy wins of all time. So I haven't caught up on Black Mirror, but I certainly loved those 2 acceptance speeches. It's very sad that no one in the audience took him up on his offer of group love. And now
that like 45 minutes has passed since Tony brought it up, I'm going to bring up the fact that I get it. They hate the Gilmore Girls. I get it. I absolutely get it. But you know what, producers, you miss it. Perfect opportunity. Daniel's here so he can help me explain this, to make so many people happy by having those 2 people present, when the only mention of the Gilmore Girls was during the Handmaid's Tale's acceptance speech. I mean, seriously, they have no idea how thrilled I would have been to see Melissa McCarthy standing next to Alexis Bledel, because it'd been like Sookie and Rory.
And that would have been a viral moment on Twitter. Like they missed a big social.
What about Milo too? He could have joined in. They could have presented an award or something.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm going to stop.
Yeah.
Like I said, I restrained myself from posting my 12-page paper about this.
But you know what we need to do now is we need to find a really good project for Kevin Spacey, Hugh Laurie, and Lauren Graham to get together and get 0 nominations, because that's just seems to happen, or if they get nominated, not win.
I think all they need to do is just tell voters that they haven't won yet, like John Hamm did. Talking about the guest categories, though, it was different this year, though, how they didn't run through all the guest nominees. They said, and last weekend, these were all the nominees, which I'm fine with. I would have liked to have seen more clips in general, though. I mean, as always, we get that first category, and usually they sprinkle
in the first category.
Yeah, usually there's one in the middle that just comes out of nowhere, and you're like, why are we seeing clips now? But maybe they were behind.
Wasn't it that same category last year too? Supporting actor in a drama?
No, last year it was drama lead actor.
Why can't it be actress once? I mean, seriously, I hate to be this person, but since it was such a good night for women, like we have 4 Oscar winners in the limited series race and an Oscar nominee.
No kidding.
Like, does it ever occur to you to like maybe choose a different gender? Like, seriously? And if you don't follow Lauren Graham on Twitter, like, her tweet about Alexis Bledel winning is like the sweetest thing you've ever seen in your entire life. Like, my heart is so full. I'm like, oh my God.
Well, Amanda, start campaigning for her now for Curb Your Enthusiasm.
I will be. I'll be writing
right now.
And we need
nobody
to cast next season in The Handmaid's Tale as an aunt.
No, she could play her like lover or something. I don't know. Like
that would be a little weird.
Yeah, that might be weird. But Gina Rodriguez is like, I just need to get myself on the next show. Like, once this is over, I'm going to do a cool streaming service show like Alexis Bledel.
At least she is on the CW though, so she has that CBS connection, so she keeps coming out as a presenter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Going back to the Black Mirror win, I would say that was actually my favorite win of the night, Black Mirror taking writing, because like I just think it was so much better than the other nominees. I think it's nice that we're not seeing, whatever takes series, takes writing and directing automatically. I talked about this in the Slugfest before, that I think like if we do see that happen all the time, then that just makes it even more boring for us as predictors. And this night had a lot of very predictable wins, which it's fine if you like the winners or if you don't, but it does make it kind of a little boring for us as predictors, which is why I found it so crushing when we finally got to Tandy Newton's category and she lost. I cannot take that good a performance, losing an Emmy to somebody who's getting an Emmy just for, being around for a while. Not necessarily for
Don't you dare finish that sentence.
All right. Okay, Anne Dowd did not deserve that award. I'll say it.
I will read.
She did nothing in The Handmaid's Tale.
I will
she
read
used the
whatever
cattle
Rob.
prodder.
She wouldn't have been necessarily my pick in that category, but I really like her win in that category for that performance was absolutely justified. Honestly,
she should have won for Patty Levin. But
I would have been happy for her too.
And here's the thing about Anne Dowd. If we were still under the tape system, would she have won? Absolutely not, because she really didn't have a showcase episode really to the same extent that some of the other people did in that category.
She might have had a chance because it would have come down to Samira Wiley and Anne Dowd. And I think now it could have gone her way in an 80 panel depending on who the 80 people are. So I disagree with that.
But if you look at that character's arc and her presence in The Handmaid's Tale, she's so unforgettable and terrifying. Well, okay, arc is the wrong word, but she is a presence. She is this presence that is just, it's like a pall that hangs over it. It's like when she shows up, you just kind of get startled a little bit, like, oh God, what's going to happen now? Is she going to be horrible or is she going to be nice? Is she going to be nice and horrible? But to me, the fact that Tandy Newton lost is not even as insulting as the fact that they misspelled her name.
They did?
Did they really?
They spelled it Tandy, Thandi. There's an E at the end of her first name.
No.
I'm like,
it's slightly less bad than presenting the wrong Best Picture winner. So, I mean, we've seen worse mistakes this year. Let's
don't insult Tandy Newton like that. I mean, come on. You have one job, and that is to edit the copy.
Like for The Crown, it said The Assassins for the episode. And then there's another title that was supposed to have a and it didn't.
Oh, I missed that one.
Yeah, just a few things like that.
Again, not the biggest mistakes we've seen this year. Let's put that into perspective.
What did people think of Rachel Bloom's little song and dance thing?
Terrible.
I thought it was a waste of her being there.
I thought it was cute. But forgettable. Like it wasn't like something that I if you hadn't brought it up, I would have forgotten it was there. So I had nothing personally, but it wasn't like a barn burner for me.
What about Jeremy Piven being Jeremy Piven?
I mean, he's on CBS.
At least he pointed out how awful he is.
They had some great, like I said earlier, I forgot to mention Cicely Tyson, who was really adorable in her nervousness at the podium. But they, I thought this year they did better in bringing in some creative pairings of presenters historically, and I would love them to do more of that.
And Anika Noni Rose was so patient and gracious, and like, she didn't miss a beat. She was, helping Cicely Tyson with her lines, and so nice. Just to watch them both there together that way. That was really wonderful.
Yeah.
I do kind of question why this year and why not last year when they had the revival. I get that they were celebrating the anniversary of it, but they were on ABC, which was the network that aired the original. It just would have made more sense.
Yeah.
That's true, yeah.
I hate to be that person because it was kind of sweet to see her, and she's very old, so it's always lovely when she shows up. But I don't know. I guess that was just one of those things. But again, I love seeing the 9 to 5 reunion. I mean, Dolly, I think she could host one of these things. No one's had a better time at the microphone this year.
The three of them together, honestly, the chemistry was really fantastic between those three, so, they can certainly host together.
I can't wait for her to someday be on that show.
And I think it was somewhat necessary because, after Colbert's, in my opinion, lackluster, opening moments, he disappeared for about a good 45 minutes before he even came back out and made another appearance. So we had 45 minutes of Jermaine Fowler. Who doesn't want more of that?
Daniel, you got a 74%?
Yeah.
Wow.
I would have done better had it not been for, literally, all I had to do was not go out on any limbs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would have been 85.
We should give a shout out to Paul Sheehan, who scored an 85%.
Wow.
Yeah.
23 out of 27 categories. Clearly.
Paul always destroys us.
The only one I'm kicking myself over, of course, I changed from a lot of hunches to a lot of consensus choices that ended up being right. I did switch from RuPaul to The Voice.
Hey, there we go.
Which I in hindsight, it felt like not a decision I should have made based on creative arts. Other decisions made sense to change, but that one, and I'm so lucky because I was not confident Donald Glover was winning comedy actor, but I couldn't decide who I would pick instead, so I just stuck with Donald Glover.
Wow.
I was very, very happy.
Atlanta's not going to be back next season, is it? Next year, is it? It's taking some time off, isn't it?
I don't think it's that long, but it might be.
Yeah, I thought I read that and Master of None.
Well, Master of None is probably done for good. He says that unless he goes through some new life experiences, like gets married or has a kid or something, he's said everything he wants to say about being single.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, especially with the Netflix model and the streaming model, the way it kind of opens things up for you to kind of do what you want. I can see him and doing a kind of Curb Your Enthusiasm type deal where he just comes back when he feels like it. Which is fine. He'll be welcome back because Curb Your Enthusiasm has always been welcome back.
And that'll make room for Matt LeBlanc to come back for episodes.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Oh,
I'd love to see him win for that show.
I thought the first season. I thought that first season, that finale, and my gosh, he goes, "You guys are so articulate." Oh my goodness. But that's been that's another show that's British that's been nominated for writing a couple times.
Yeah.
Almost
every season.
Every season, yeah. Not sure why. Yeah.
We've seen it. They like British writers.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're just leaning into xenophobia, but we're doing it with research, so it doesn't make us seem like we're,
Trumpian?
Yeah. Yeah. We actually have facts to back ours up.
Now, do you guys anticipate any changes in voting for next year, or do you think they'll be very happy with the way things are going?
I think they're going to be happy with the way things are. I mean, aren't we all kind of happy, even if we're a little bit wrong with most of the winners? It's nice.
I think they're gonna keep it the way it is. I don't anticipate that much complaining about these winners. I think you had your winners that were big hits like The Voice, but and Big Little Lies too. But you had some left field choices that didn't just feel like, you know, the big names and the Oscar winners kind of running roughshod over everybody, which feels like what we all hope for with the tape system. The only thing I can imagine that could be problematic is that last year we were all kind of, you know, we all fell off the predictions train because it was the first year under that system.
Yeah.
And so we were expecting this is going to be another completely insane year of upsets, but it turned out to be not completely boring, but in terms of the predictions, very by the book. And so if we end up with year after year after year,
yeah.
Okay, now that we know the system, now we know the system, so we can, you know, it's just kind of be, you know, by the numbers every year. Then it might get a little bit disappointing. But yeah, I don't see they're going to have much incentive to change things next year.
Yeah, I think the thing is that it's always going to get a little boring for us who spend so much time thinking about it, because we probably care more than they do. But we only saw 2 acting repeat winners, and I mean, Kate was still pretty great. And you know, Julia, I've just kind of come through the stages of that. It's just the only way that she's not going to win is when the show goes off the air.
Julia?
Yeah.
Is that what we're calling it, the 5 stages of Julia?
I'm calling it the 7 stages of Julia because there's one more season.
And she's going to win because it's the final season, and they're going to give her some kind of like Black Swan, fantastic death kind of craziness at the end or something. And they're just going to give it she's going to Alec Baldwin at the SAG Awards this thing.
And let's believe in Emma Stone.
And let's just flash forward 1 year after that. Please do not just go back to Modern Family. Like, seriously.
No, I don't.
No way.
Yeah, you say that now, but let's wait 2 years and I'll be telling you guys I told you so if this happens.
Well, the show has fallen off the cliff in terms of the nominations so far.
So did Frasier a little bit.
They can't even win sound mixing anymore.
You and those sound mixers, Riley.
Frasier never dipped the way Modern Family has dipped in terms of its other nominations. It always had a presence with Kelsey and with David Hyde Pierce, and it was always in there, even if it had low moments. Modern Family, it would have to have a season with like white caps, and you know, every episode is one of the comedy version of that. You know, it would have to have that every single week for a year, and then maybe it gets back up to maybe 5 nominations.
Well, what if they only do like 15 episodes and then they have like I mean, if they only did like 10 episodes and they had a terrific final season. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know we're talking 2 years away, but I'm just saying, I just really am hoping it just would not surprise me to see a Modern Family bump in its final season. And I'm not even mad at these networks for not having a lot of female-centric comedies, because what's the point when you know Julia's going to win next year? I mean, seriously, I don't blame them. What's the point? You know how this is going to go?
That's the one thing that upsets me about Julia. Like, every time, I'm not a big fan of Veep, or a fan of Veep at all, but I love Julia Louis-Dreyfus just generally as a human and as an actress. And so even though I don't care for Veep, I can't help but be happy for her when she's holding a trophy, like in the sense that, oh, I like her in general, so good for her. But what disappoints me is that I like a lot of people, and according to the Emmys, the only worthy comedy actress in 6 years has been Julia Louis-Dreyfus. So Amy Poehler got screwed, and Tracy Ellis Ross hasn't won, and there are so many other.
Tina Fey never won a second one.
Yeah, there's so many other women who could win at least once. You know, just once. You know,
Ellie Kemper.
Ellie Kemper, yeah. It makes it look like comedy actress is a weaker field than it actually is.
Well, Daniel, you talk about Alec Baldwin at the SAG Awards, and he did win 7, but that 8th year he did lose to Ty Burrell. So,
well,
here we go.
The show was off the air, and you know what? Even Sex and the City and Sarah Jessica Parker, because of the way the show aired, they competed after the show had finished for like a year, and they didn't win. So it's not. I don't know if we can necessarily say that was so much him as much as it was maybe just the timing of it all.
I think.
Watch out! Comedy lead actress 2018, Ty Burrell.
Lead actor?
lead actress. He was making a joke.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the Alec Baldwin loss at SAG was, I think that was the year, because 30 Rock ended its run early in that year. So I think he literally was in like 5 eligible episodes or something for SAG. And then he got the nomination almost an entire year later. And so by then, that's how he could lose. So maybe if they ended Veep right now and just had 2 episodes or something and ended it now at this very moment, then maybe someone could beat her next year.
I think that also remember that like Tina Fey had lost that SAG award 2 years in a row to Betty White, and then she won like the week before the series finale aired. And I remember it because she's like, "Don't watch Big Bang Theory this week, watch us." But I think it's just timing. But I will be interested to see if this means Veep's finally going to like win Best Ensemble at the SAG Awards.
Or if she can win, you know, as upset as you are, Daniel, that she keeps winning at Emmys, I'm pissed that she hasn't won a single Globe for this role. like you have to give her the Globe now. Like, just the one. Just one.
Well, you know, she could melt down one of, and I'm not even, okay, so she's with Cloris Leachman now for Primetime Emmys, because now she has 8, and she's won 3 as a producer. Melt down an Emmy and make a Golden Globe. Honestly, you have spares.
I love the reaction on Tracy Ellis Ross's face. Like, yep. My mom being Diana Ross isn't going to help me here.
How interesting is that really the lone standing ovation of the night for a winner, other than Margaret Atwood coming up, was Sterling K. Brown.
What about Lena Waithe? Did she get one?
Oh, no, yeah, she did.
Oh yes, I forgot about that one.
I thought there was a lot of people standing for Ann Dowd, but maybe I'm just so ecstatic.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's hard to jump up and down and run the blog at the same time, and then you know, there's only so many things I can do at once. But
now I posed this question in the pre-show, but like, is it time to retire the term like Emmy bait? Because we did see The Crown take 3 out of 13. We saw Feud win makeup and hair, and then they lost their 17 other races. So if you have, you know, a show that ticks off all the Emmy boxes, should we be considering it anymore? I
don't even know, because Oscar bait is a thing, because we all know kind of the Oscar, what an Oscar movie is. Like, it's been years since I think I could, like, and television is changing so much with cable and streaming. I don't know that Emmy bait has been a thing in quite a long time, since maybe the broadcast networks. You know, you do a legal show or a medical show and you're Emmy bait. But things have splintered so much. You know, A Handmaid's Tale, A Big Little Lies, I guess you could call kind of Emmy bait, but even that's a little quirky and weird for the usual Emmy standards. Yeah, I don't think there's a type of show anymore that wins Emmys, which is actually fantastic.
Well, not only that, but also because episode submissions don't seem to matter as much. You know, if you're looking at a submission, you could say, okay, this episode checks these boxes. She's got a speech. She yells. She throws things. Blah blah blah. That's really Emmy bait when you're looking at an individual race. And if they don't matter anymore, I don't know how we feel about that collectively. If you can kind of suss it out from these winners, but you know, then I think the term doesn't really apply.
I think there's still like subject matter. I think the fact that, you know, Melissa, I think that somebody like Elizabeth Moss, who's playing somebody who's being raped every other episode, who's in this very dominant kind of situation, it's still there. We saw the same thing kind of with Nicole Kidman. She was playing this abused wife who's trying to figure out how to get out of this situation or what to do with her husband. So I don't know if it's so much the bait or is like the bait and the package has changed a little bit. Mm-hmm. But I do really wonder, John Lithgow made history tonight as the first actor in a supporting role to win for playing a real life person in a drama series. Do you think that might hurt like Gary Oldman's chances at the Oscars, since people are going to compare him to John Lithgow? I mean, none of us have seen the movie, but unless Daniel's seen it, I don't know what you've been up to.
I think the biggest threat to Gary Oldman in an interesting way is that, and partly from Lithgow, is Churchill is so been there, done that, in the sense of we've been there and done that like 3 times in the last year. And it's such an old-fashioned kind of, like, you know, that the Oscar biopic, the Oscar demographics are also changing, so that, you know, Oscar bait may not work quite as well as it used to also. Yeah.
And no one's ever been nominated for an Oscar for playing Winston Churchill, so yeah. And how many people went on TV for doing it? 3, 4? Oh, goodness. That's just one of those things I think of when I see it happening. I'm like, I wonder if this is going to hurt Gary Oldman. Like, if he loses that Oscar, he might be cursing John Lithgow in a few months.
Did you guys see that tweet from Vulture? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Daniel.
Maybe it'll help because Oscar voters will think that they were voting on John Lithgow, and if, you know, Gary Oldman will win the Oscar as a result.
Yeah, if it was John Lithgow, he would absolutely win an Oscar for an American playing a British prime minister. I mean, that, if he didn't win, I would have been spending like half the night trying to figure out how he lost. But yeah, apparently Joseph Fiennes just couldn't sneak into that category because he might have been the only one, because we know how much they just wanted to check off the Handmaid's Tale every opportunity they got.
I was just going to say, Vulture, Vulture, the publication, had a tweet early in the night that said, John Lithgow thanks Winston Churchill. Fact check, he's been dead 52 years. Hashtag Emmys.
Well, you know, I hear that Winston Churchill, you know, more and more people are finding out about him, and he's doing really, really great things. So,
yeah.
Too sarcastic? I don't know.
All right, let's hear final thoughts, David.
Come back to me.
Okay, Daniel.
Good year for, and it's interesting, we talk about Oscars so white, Oscars so male, and it's so weird how relatively easy it is for the Emmys to get it righter, in the sense of actually awarding different kinds of people. You know, a woman winning for directing in a category with 3 female directors, drama directing. All the lead male actor winners were people of color. Shows about women won, produced by women, with Nicole Kidman and Reese Witherspoon and Elizabeth Moss, a producer on Handmaid's Tale. Julie Louis-Dreyfus, even a producer on Veep. It's like, why are the Emmys so much better at it than the Oscars? It's just so weird to me at this point.
They have 3 times the categories.
True, but even on average, like if you whittled it down, you'd still have, you know, a woman nominated for directing, a woman nominated for writing, a person of color winning this award, and you know, it's like pulling teeth sometimes at the Oscars to
like
do that.
The Oscars did go 0 for 40 for those 2 years, right?
Yeah.
The Oscars so white. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're all still male. Ugh.
All right, what else are you thinking, Amanda?
I loved so much of this. Ann Dowd, amazing. Kate McKinnon, I'm kind of glad she didn't make it too political, because we all kind of know why she's up there. Like, she knows it, we know it. Thank you for not giving us a huge political moment. It was nice to see Dave Chappelle show up, although I was expecting a funnier. You know, when I think about the presenters who really should have delivered the comedy, that should have been one of the best moments of the night between the 2 of them. I agree with Daniel. I think it's so nice to see how easy it is for the Emmys to get it right. And they really, every chance they can one up the Oscars, they did it. Mandy Moore wins choreography, and then it just keeps building and building and building, as far as seeing all of these women win in writing, directing. I love it. I was so happy. And sorry, I was so happy. I thought she was going to lose after she lost Guest Actress, but thrilled.
Okay, and Tony?
Great night for Hulu, great night for The Handmaid's Tale. And one of the takeaways, I think, is that one of the things I was concerned about when they switched to this new system, it was just the popular shows would run away with everything. And on paper, that we would have seemed to tilt things in the favor of things like a Stranger Things or a Westworld. But they went for, a lot of people had said The Handmaid's Tale was too dark, too depressing to win. And no, it wasn't. And, I'm so glad for, Donald Glover taking 2 of the 3. But I think it's really, really interesting to see where this new voting system is going to go, especially now that streaming is finally on the map when it comes to these series races.
Didn't take as long as it took cable.
All right, and David, do you have thoughts now?
Yeah, I do. I needed a minute. I guess to be a little more pessimistic than everybody else, I would just say I wish the winners in the drama and the limited series races were a little more varied. It was nice to see in the comedy side something when one show win comedy series, one win directing, one win writing, another win a supporting race. Great for The Handmaid's Tale. Don't mean to disparage the show or Big Little Lies. I happen to really like it, but would have been nice to see some other shows, especially in such a banner year for new dramas, to win a few more awards along the way.
Yeah, all the headlines tomorrow will just be, Stranger Things sweeps, Big Little Lies sweeps. Sorry, did I say?
Handmaid's Tale?
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Oh, someone's drunk.
Okay, so I guess we'll be all talking about the Oscars or the guilds. So, good night.